The New Zealand Gaming Championships League of Legends Premiership is presented by Let's Play Live, Australasia's new home of esports at letsplay.live. Logitech G, bringing you winning gaming devices. Mice, keyboards, headsets and controllers. Game with passion, win with science. Logitech G. Twitch, the world's leading social video platform and community for gamers. Twitch.tv. The NZGC is powered by Playtech. Technology at play. Playtech is the #1 custom PC system builder in New Zealand. Visit playtech.co.nz. Players stay at Adina Apartment Hotel at Britomart, Auckland. Book today at adinahotels.com. Adina, official accommodation of the NZGC. Now, let the gaming begin.
Tonight's matchup, Too Easy versus DNA. Week 4, Match 2 of the NZGC League of Legends Premiership. And of course, welcome back to the Hexadome. We've got coloured lights, we've got a smoke machine, and we've got myself, Matt Pixie Carroll, and of course my co-caster, as always, Matt Smite Ross.
And we've only got 5 more teams left. We saw our first elimination last night as Decode's journey ended against Tiger Eye, who moved on to the next stage of the playoffs. And the same thing will be happening tonight as we see Too Easy take on DNA.
Like you said, one of these two teams is going home tonight. There is no two ways about that whatsoever. And with that in mind, let's take a look at what we've got tonight and indeed what we've got for the rest of the week.
So as I said before, Tiger Eye took out a 2-0, ending Decode's journey last night. Decode put up one heck of a fight, but it wasn't enough. Tonight's matchup is Too Easy taking on DNA. Once again, the loser will have their journey ended here and will be sent home. And then on Wednesday, it's the featured match of the night of the week on Sky Sport 3, King 5 taking on the Villains.
And the winner of that, of course, goes straight to the grand final. The loser does get a second life. That is our only non-elimination match this week, actually. So those two teams are safe, but they're both definitely looking for that spot at the finals. Speaking of looking for a spot at the finals, tickets are on sale now if you do want to go ahead and come along to those live finals. And here are some details about those tickets for you.
Esports is even better live. The NZGC League of Legends Premiership Grand Final is your chance to really experience the excitement of esports live. Wednesday, October 12, all roads lead to Motad and the Idea Collective to see who will be crowned champions. Tickets are on sale now at eventbrite.co.nz. Use the keyword NZGC. The NZGC League of Legends Premiership Grand Final. You just gotta be there live. Get your tickets now at eventbrite.co.nz.
And if you want to go along, then that's how you can get yourself some tickets. If the tickets are all sold out and done so by the time you find the time to buy them, you can go to a viewing party. We're going to be holding a viewing party for that, and indeed for every single Wednesday night for the rest of this tournament. What are the details for this Wednesday, Smite?
Well, if you can't wait any longer, this Wednesday, for one of the most anticipated matchups, by the way, King 5 taking on the defending champions, the Villains. Head along to The Scene at 6 p.m. It's free entry. If you pre-register on letsplay.live, then you get an $8 hospitality voucher as well. And, you know, there's going to be a ton of things going on. You've got cosplay, you've got quizzes, there's even going to be themed drinks as well. It's going to be a ton of fun. And if you can't wait till the finals, then next Wednesday is your best bet.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. It's going to be tastefully thick, have a subtle off-white colouring, and heck, it's even going to have a watermark. So definitely come on down. It's going to be really cool stuff. And honestly, for those of you who haven't been able to tune into Sky, who just love these Twitch broadcasts, well, hey, this is your chance to get it all on the big flat screen. Sure beats a computer chair and a monitor, I'll be honest. But in any case, tonight we have to get through a matchup first before we can really hit that Wednesday, and that matchup is looking really exciting. Like we said, Too Easy taking on DNA. Let's take a look at these two teams.
Yeah, so let's get all packing and ready to send a team home tonight. It's like you said, Too Easy taking on DNA, and we've got some pretty star players coming out from here tonight. So let's take a look at the first one, Too Easy. Up in the top lane, Jack Attack playing those potato tanks. Rin Toyama will be sneaking through the shadows in the jungle. Arcale in the mid lane. Keep your eyes wide open for Blinky on the AD carry. And looking for some sweet action tonight, it's Cupcake as your support.
And of course, coming up against them is going to be DNA, who are our wildcard qualifier. We have Sheldor up in the top lane. Calling it in the jungle is 0-2-1. Arc in the mid, not to be confused with Arcale, Arcadian, or Noah's Arc. Neff, also known as Nephius, as AD carry and his support. I'm tilting. Without any further ado, let's just get straight into this pick and ban, right? Because there are some very obvious keys to the game that we've been talking about before this. We're going to share them with you, dear viewer. Keys to the game for DNA. What do we reckon?
DNA. The keys to the game start right now in the draft phase. We've seen them feel a little bit limited with their champion pool, and it's going to be all unlocked here as we see some of the bans coming out. And one of the first most important things is that Sona ban.
Sona, yeah.
Only game that hasn't been banned against them, they absolutely smashed it.
Yeah, this is a really nice set of bans, actually. And also Jin being taken away from Nephius. And we were saying keys to the game are getting I'm Tilting and Nephius on really comfortable champions. I'm Tilting's second choice so far has generally been Soraka, sometimes Karma. Soraka's just been nerfed, not really super viable right now. Karma, likely to get first picked away by Too Easy. So DNA, they're going to have to really get I'm Tilting onto something solid here. Adaptation, though, by DNA, though, banning away the Zac. You said Zacking away the ban.
On Wednesday, we saw Too Easy play that to great effectiveness. Their third ban comes out. It's actually going to be Elise. That means Lissandra is through. Now, DNA being red side, they don't get first pick. They have a few options here. They could leave the Nidalee open, leave the Karma open. Okay, they're going to pick away, ban away Nidalee.
They actually take away Nidalee. They don't want
Karma should come out first by Too Easy.
I would imagine so. Like I said, taking that away from I'm Tilting, but like you said, that leaves Lissandra open. Nidalee getting banned out as well. 0-2-1 goes, look, I'm probably not going to get it. Let's just let them have it. So Jack Attack is instead going to lock down that Rex site. This is going to leave Karma most likely for DNA. So they've certainly made it work for themselves. And yeah, this is not surprising at all. This also takes, crucially, Caitlyn away from Blinky.
But the Rek'Sai lock-in does actually limit 0-2-1 a little bit. We have seen
Graves.
We have seen teams target him a little bit with bans, but he's always been a flexible jungler. Says, hey, look, I can carry in the jungle on any champion. He played Rek'Sai, played Graves, played Nidalee, like any NZ jungler. So I feel like maybe taking the Karma Ray could have been more prioritized by Too Easy, but in any case, DNA do lock in that massive wave clear lane. Yeah,
I agree. I'm surprised to see them not take away the Karma. And, you know, DNA, like I said, they'll be feeling pretty happy about how that ban phase went. Also, they were able to get the Trundle away from Jack Attack. He could try and hold on to maybe Nara as a counter pick, but in any case, DNA are the ones who get the last pick, so Too Easy. They might be a little bit thinned out in the top lane, and I like this by DNA because, of course, keys to the game for them go after Jack Attack, keep Blinky and Cupcake shut down.
Absolutely. Now, Too Easy have a choice. Do they pick away the Lissandra but opt themselves into a blind pick?
Oh.
No, it's going to be blind picking the Cassiopeia, which has been banned out quite often against Too Easy. They also pick up Sivir, just a generally good AD carry, but also works well into the Caitlyn matchup with those spell shields and traps.
Yeah, and also I like how the Sivir works with the Cassiopeia as well, because of course Cassiopeia's big weakness is a relative immobility. Sivir just helps alleviate anyone's relative immobility, and meanwhile, we've got a Maokai coming up, most likely in the top lane, and Arc has locked in Orianna. Yes, Maokai indeed locked in, taken away from Jack Attack. This is interesting, and they still haven't picked a jungler. I feel they need something that is going to synergize well with Orianna, because that's a weakness we saw funneling out of Decode when they were picking up Orianna, was they had a lack of follow-up. And Too Easy, they're taking away the time, they're taking away the Gnar. They're looking really solid here. What do we think DNA wants for jungle?
Well, they definitely, like you said, need a ball delivery system. Maokai can get the job
they got
done,
the delivery,
but
it's the follow-up.
It's a short-range delivery system, so you're going to have to really make use of the teleport flank, so having another option there is what they need to go for.
Is it going to be Graves?
Graves, I feel like, would play to 0-1 style, but it doesn't work with the team.
Oh, it does actually bring a good amount of follow-up damage, though, to the Orianna, given that they had the Maokai there as their frontliner, and I do kind of like that. Also, we've seen this out of DNA. When they've picked Graves, they've last picked it because they know it's dependent on what the other team picks. That being said, I don't know if Graves is necessarily the right pick here, because there's a lot of really tanky champions here, and Graves, if he even gets onto the Cassiopeia or the Sivir without taking too much damage himself, there's going to be a Tahm Kench there to swallow one of them up. I'm not sure if Graves is really the right call. But I don't know what else they would have taken.
O21 is a superstar jungler, can play on a lot of champions. I feel he's confident on the Graves right now. So they're not putting all their eggs in one basket with the Orianna composition, which is also a big advantage to go for, but it's putting a lot onto Sheldon right now. The singular tank on the team is going to have to do a ton of frontline work and even work into the peeling for, well, the double marksman composition. So Sheldon needs to be looked after, but they still also have to shut down Blinky and Cupcake.
Yeah, I feel like DNA are really going to be reliant on a siege-type comp here, and that's going to mean not getting behind in any of these lanes. O21 is really going to have his work cut out for him in that front. Now, O21, like we said, is a superstar jungler. I definitely believe he can do that. In terms of his ganking, I feel like we said, he's really going to need to keep the pressure on Jack Attack. And speaking of ganking.
Powered by Playtech.
Hey guys, my name's Arcadian and welcome to How to Play League of Legends, where I walk you through the basic concepts around one of the world's most popular online games, all so you can get a piece of the action. Now this time around, we're going to be looking at ganking. Ganking. Ganking? Ganking is definitely a funny word, and I promise you, you're not hearing me wrong. But it actually makes sense when you know that it originates from the long-form word, or words, gang killing, when you and a group of other players would ambush an outnumbered enemy. This is especially useful in League because sometimes during the early stages of the game, while players are farming and collecting all their gold, the game can get a little stagnant and they need some action. That's why ganks are so perfect. For when people are so evenly matched, or even if you're getting beaten on a little bit, you sometimes need an ally to come and flank the enemy to come keep him on his toes. Now, ganks are most commonly performed by the jungler. Now, this is the guy who doesn't have a particular lane on the map to hold and is kind of roaming around all over the place. To perform a good gank, the element of surprise is vital, because you need to get into position behind the enemy to be able to catch him in a fatal spot when he's wandered too far away from the safety of his structures. This is the reason that vision and these little totems are so important, because they let you see the enemy before it's too late. So now you know when someone is sneaking up on the lane with no vision, you'll know that someone is about to get ganked. And so thanks for watching. This has been your teacher Arcadian, and until next time, Arc out!
Ganking.
That's how you say it. Yeah, that's the word.
That's
right?
what it is.
We
And that's
worked
how
it
you do it. Let's take a look at this matchup, though, before we hit the rift, because we were just talking about, a couple of those keys to the game for both of these teams, right? I feel like 2easy have a lot of general strengths in their team comp, a lot of global pressure as well with that Time Kenshin Rek'Sai. They have a lot of mobility as a team there and a lot of safety for their 2 carries, but they only really have those 2 carries.
That said as well, their team fighting does come a lot from the Gnar, as any team composition with a Gnar, and it does, which gives a really big window for the enemy team, DNA, to react to it by forcing out the teleports, forcing engagements when Gnar is in his mini form and far away from turning into Mega. So DNA, if they can play around that, they can absolutely win the late game, where we've seen a few teams struggle in the NZGC so far. It's really been where the top few teams have been decided, is that late game focus on macro and team play.
Yeah, exactly. We have actually seen DNA really be able to move as a unit in that late game, so I don't feel like that's necessarily a weakness of theirs, but like you said, they are going to have to play around something quite particular on 2easy's team comp. DNA, though, and I kind of touched on this a moment ago, 2easy have just 2 carries. Arguably half of a third carry out of Jack Attack, because he will be able to do a good amount of damage, have a bit of split pushing pressure, and a lot of team fight potential, but he's not a carry in that same way. Whereas there is the Graves. There is a Graves here for DNA, and he is going to be able to do a lot of damage, especially early on to the likes of Cassiopeia. And I was just kind of saying that, right? I feel like he needs to be ganking Jack Attack in order for what the team needs, but he wants to be ganking Cassiopeia in terms of how favorable that matchup is for the Graves. So he's really going to need to balance the 2, and I think that means bottom lane might not get so much attention.
I feel like that's all right, because bottom lane is going to be a little bit tricky to gank, because you've got the safety of Tahm Kench, you've got the spell shield from the Sivir to stop any traps, stop any slows. So Again, tricky lane to gank. Cassiopeia, though, very immobile, and particularly when a team comp does need to work very well out of the mid-game fights around Dragon phase. So once level 6 rolls around, Orianna or Graves needs to be ahead so they can take that advantage to the Dragon fights, win fights there, and snowball that into the late game.
And we're going to see if they can snowball that into the late game, or if the other team is going to be winning it in the early game. But all this and more as we hit the riff for Game 1. Too Easy versus DNA. One of these teams will be sent packing tonight.
We've already seen one team sent home. We're going to see another one for sure after this series. It's best of 3, so neither team's going home after tonight. But you definitely want to be picking up that win in game number 1.
Yeah, and welcome back to us. Just any second now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm hiding a drink beneath the podium. That's why my hand looks really strange.
Let's see. Let's see.
I'm going to tell you what I've got. It's a Red Bull. It looks like a V. It's the summer edition. Brought to you by. So yeah, like you said, that's a lot of potential in that team comp. And something I kind of want to speak to is kind of going more in depth on this top lane matchup, right? Because Jack Attack, not only does he know Nah, he also really knows Maokai, and I feel like this is a matchup that generally goes nicely for the Nah. Maokai isn't exactly a champion that is going to die a lot or carry a lot if he gets ahead, but in any case, the Nah can still put a lot of pressure on him and will pretty much always be a split push threat, with how he goes. Maokai is kind of the anti-split pusher, but they have to keep the Maokai there, and with him in the top lane, there's very little front line for the rest of this DNA squad.
That's true. Keeping the Maokai down does limit the options for DNA just put it there. Quite a lot, right? You have one frontliner. If he's not doing his job, then Too Easy are just going to walk all over you. They're going to smash through all of your carries. The next tankiest guy is going to be Graves. And unless he's stacking up his true grit really well, I feel like he's not going to be able to cut it, really.
That all being said, I feel like if DNA get ahead in the early game, which is what they need to do because they've got the Graves, then they are going to have a lot of power, tankiness aside, right? Because the way we've seen Orianna's fail in the past is having a lack of follow-up. Now, Graves isn't a heap of follow-up, but he has a good amount of follow-up with collateral damage, right? That is a big chunk of magic damage and a big chunk of physical damage. No one is going to be itemized against that in the mid-game. They'll only barely be itemized against it in the late game. So if either the Graves or the Orianna, or even in the better scenario, both are ahead, DNA can just abuse that, and that means Too Easy have to be super cautious with how they position. And like I said, all that and more as we hit the rift. This time for real, we're going to have to see whether Too Easy can position themselves around that early game strength of DNA, or whether DNA are slowly going to get picked apart by the strong team fight potential out of Too Easy with a much more patient team comp. And I just side-eyed the screen there. It's frozen.
Yeah, we're not actually getting back into the game. Yeah. So don't worry.
I cry every time. I've just hyped it up and everything. I am really excited for this matchup. I feel like I'm excited for every matchup, but that's because, right, it's been great matches. And we've seen the level of play over this whole tournament just increase from game to game to game. And now that we're at the knockout part and the stakes are even higher, it's really exciting seeing what these teams pull out when it's all on the line.
Yeah, of course, neither team wanting to lose here because it is one of the most important matches to not lose. You don't want to be sent home. You don't want to have your journey end here. So both teams are going to be playing out their hardest, of course. DNA not looking favored going into the matchup just because if you look at the leaderboard, they had 2 points, I think, at the end, compared to Too Easy had about 8 or 7 or 8. So much higher up in the standings.
Yeah, exactly. And this was Too Easy, who were actually on course to lock in an uncontested second until they lost to Tiger Eye earlier this week. And of course, that loss is what they now carry into this game against DNA. We have to see their mentality has recovered. They are looking very cool, calm and collected as they hit the rift. Very defensive fans from both of these teams, as per usual. Nothing fancy, nothing funky, no shenanigans.
No shenanigans at all, which disappoints me very heavily.
I'm sorry.
But that's all right. Maybe we'll get shenanigans in Game 2. Maybe even Game 3 if we get to that point. But it's all about Game 1 right now. And, well, I mean, these matchups are looking pretty solid. A lot of them are going to be skill matchups, of course. Silver slightly favored into the Caitlyn. And unfortunately, you can be as favored as you want to. You can't really match the wave clear that Caitlyn and Karma are going to bring out. You're going to be shoved underneath your turret no matter what. Sivir, even with all that wave clear, is going to struggle if they're not bringing jungler attention or going for kills. But in any case, minions have spawned. Yep. We're going to have trades. We're going to have CS. We're going to have fighting.
For the first time in a long time, we're not seeing anything too strange coming out of these bottom side duo lanes. Both are just going to start with a jungle camp. And Cupcake and Blinky for sure can stay a lot healthier off of this just because of Tahm Kench with that region he will be able to get a little bit later on. And I feel like this is a lane that ends up favoring Blinky and Cupcake, even though they get really outranged, unless Nephtheus and I'm Tilting can get really hard poked down really, really early, because eventually just the sheer fighting pressure out of Blinky and Cupcake is going to overwhelm this poke lane.
Yeah, and already you can see he actually leveled up the Spell Shield at level 2 just to clear out those traps, get a little bit of mana back. It's a little bit less fighting potential in the early game, but once he hits level 3, a lot of it's not going to matter too much. You can see both teams are actually matching the wave clear right for now, but once Tilting hits a few more levels, is able to use Harass with his other spells, they should be looking to wave clear a little bit more.
Speaking of wave clear, Jack Attack already out clearing Sheldor, at least in terms of where that wave is sitting, and he's happy to freeze it using that range to his advantage. Not surprised at all with how that top lane is going, and like I said, I feel like that's somewhere O2-1 will need to give attention to. Rintoyama will also need to give attention to it, but he's going to start with his bottom lane. Yeah, and Cupcake, he's already landed a slow one. I'm Tilting. They're going to get the knock up on Nephtheus. Forces out an exhaust here and a tongue lash down.
Boomerang blade.
They committed a teleport actually from the Orianna of all things. Arc cancelling that one up smartly, and not sure what he was really looking for with that flank, and he actually just took a chunk of damage for that as well. Maybe a bit of a misclick there, but Nephtheus taking some hurt.
And that has put a huge mark on Nephtheus and I'm Tilting in the bottom lane right now. No flash, no exhaust. You can bet your bottom dollar Rintoyama is going to return to that area of the map. DNA can match it though. They can bring O2-1 with his heavy amount of damage and go for a counter gank. They've got the vision in the river, so both teams vying for control of that. But the difference is DNA are going to have their duo lane shoved in really hard against the turret. So they're either going to play carefully or get more vision down.
Yeah, also losing their teleport out of Arc means they can't go for an overwhelming majority. Rintoyama, he's already going proactive. He knows how O2-1 likes to play. He goes aggressive and he tries to carry. So Rintoyama is going, I'm not going to wait around and let that happen. I'm going to try and do the same to him. And already he's blowing 2 flashes across 2 lanes. Really solid stuff out of him.
Already having much more of an impact on this game than O2-1, who is struggling to... He's almost a few steps behind, but he's found Arcale.
Yeah, getting a bit of damage. The end of the line actually hit on Arcale there. No flash blown, but that was chunks taken by him. And Arc is definitely going to keep that pressure on, but oh no, I'm Tilting just got eaten up in the bottom lane. That forces a flash and a heal. He will get out alive, but that is now no summoners. The pure dueling potential is starting to overwhelm DNA already.
Blinky with no flash though, so he's not going to be able to go too aggressive, but you're absolutely right. They are looking to be in a huge advantage here. You can already see that there's CS leads ahead in every single lane for Too Easy, and this was a little bit expected going into this team matchup.
Yeah, and the only lane they don't currently have a CS lead in, okay, they do right this second, but that's going to get evened up any moment now, is that bottom lane, right? And that's actually kind of interesting, because that's the lane they're currently winning in terms of pressure. But here's O2-1 trying to alleviate some of that. All these flashes available though. Blinky does not have one. Going to spell shield up smartly. They try and go for Cupcake, who's going to flash out with that thick skin running. O2-1, he's actually taking chunks there. Eats a tongue lash. Blinky's going to try and get it on O2-1 now. He needs to not overstep though. He's just trying to put the damage on everyone. They can get a ward down to that bush. They can maybe keep this one going, but they don't quite have the vision there. And with the speed up, DNA's bottom lane do get out safely, but Blinky is looking no worse for wear after that gank.
And you talk about Blinky overstepping a little bit too. I feel like O2-1 did the exact same thing. He has flash, so he was going to stay safe at least a little bit, but he has had to recall. And Rintoyama now going to be able to go back into the jungle and start having effect on the lanes like he was doing previously. Needs to get some of that vision control down, particularly following O2-1's movements, because as you can see, he's starting to catch up just a little bit.
Yeah, and I would like to see him get some vision down currently where he is in that bottom side of the map, around that river, where both of these junglers have already put a ton of attention. Plus, that is a Mountain Drake sitting in the pit right now. That is going to be super strong for this Too Easy team comp. There is a lot of siege potential out of this squad here for DNA. Words, make no mistake about that. But there is also a lot of push pressure that can come out of the likes of Jack Attack and Blinky. Never mind all that though. They're going for a straight-up 3-man roam here on Jack Attack.
Who needs teleport when you can just walk on up? Yeah. Jack Attack!
But Sheldor was already taking chunks. Jack Attack's just going to go in to close it out first. I mean, he is going to die, but it's a trade. And actually, it's O2-1 who gets that kill as well, so it doesn't quite go into the mid laner.
And it's also Flash Burn for Sheldor, Jack Attack picking up that first blood for that bonus amount of gold. He's going to be able to go back, pick up more important items than what Sheldor can. Sure, Barmy Cinder is quite nice, but he doesn't even have his boots yet.
And Arcale is matching this with a roam of his own. He did go over a pink ward on his way down, so this does get spotted, but Rintoyama has walked all over this bottom side jungle. They have all the vision control they need, and I feel like this is going to be a really quick, smart Mountain Drake for them.
This is really interesting. So, Rintoyama, though, has caught out Nephtheus.
Yeah, he has indeed. Nephtheus, he does not have a flash available. Rintoyama taking chunks, though, does avoid the Peacemaker. Cupcake swallows it from over the wall. They're not going to be able to get a dragon now just because they've taken a bit too long. They were trying to be a bit too meticulous with vision, and O2-1 has now been able to recall. react.
And the Dragon Claw was never really going to work because they took it off a numbers advantage they had when they killed Sheldor, but Sheldor was just respawning, he had teleport, he could have joined the fight at any time, so the Dragon Claw never going to work, so a bit of a maybe conflicting call there from Too Easy. And they did get a bit of deep vision though, which is going to be pretty important as we move into the Dragon, and we talked about how important that is for DNA to snowball off using 021 and Arc, but only 021 has managed to pick up a kill so far from that top lane.
Yeah, and 021, he now has a lot of pressure on himself to carry. I wouldn't be surprised to see him try and hit 6 and hit up Arcale as soon as possible, picking up his red buff already so that he can do that. Definitely a smart call for him. And he can only really live in his top side of the jungle right now with how much vision control there is in the bottom side. Jack Attack, meanwhile, keeping the pressure up on Sheldor on the top lane, but I feel like Sheldor is now at the point where he's not just going to die.
Yeah, Sheldor should be able to live for at least a few seconds longer, but smartly using Twisted Advance and the period of immunity it uses so he can avoid some of that damage coming up from Jack Attack. So flipping those trades a little bit further in his favour.
Stops the backs. Arc does have a teleport he can use to get back to lane if he's sorely needs, and I feel like he will want to use that. 021 is now here. Both 021 and Arc are low on mana though, which is actually kind of a problem, and Rin Toyama sitting around this bottom side as well in case either of them start off that blue buff. Going to look for a gank here. I think this is warded though.
It is warded. Oh, no, actually, maybe not the path he took.
Wow, yeah, not quite the path he took, and they get right on to Tilting, who now gets eaten up. They're committing a teleport though, and this is coming in from Arc. Yeah, they're committing one for the top lane as well. It's actually Sheldor who arrives. Arcale has gone the long way down, and Arc cancelled his. That is deadly for the squad as Blinky picks up a double kill, cancelling that teleport. Arc, he was afraid that he would just die, and instead he kind of hung out Sheldor.
Yeah, and without their jungler, they're not going to pick up the Dragon, but I just want to emphasize, if DNA had been a little bit quicker, sent Arc down just a little bit sooner, that was a prime moment for a 3-man Shockwave, which we've talked about how much that can flip games in the favor of the team that uses it. So it is only going to end up being a 2-for-1 trade, slightly in favor of Too Easy. No objectives picked up from it.
And the thing is that, like, Arcale just walked down to that lane as well. We're going to take another look at that fight. Just the gank path here was super smooth, totally unwarded.
And this is why Rek'Sai is such a strong jungler right now, because you can come in from behind the jungle. Now see, if this teleport, you can see Arc is actually still walking down. If he had teleport there instead of Sheldor, that would have been a massive shockwave. Sheldor would have been there too to follow it up. It could have been much more huge. So yeah, team needs to communicate that.
Also, both were teleporting to the same minion, both Sheldor and Arc. So they could have had a really huge element of surprise. DNA, excuse the pun, kind of dropping the ball a little bit there with Arc's cancelled teleport. He does have a blue buff now and he's going to try and keep up the pressure on Arcale. He does need to stay safe. There is Rek'Sai sniffing around. Go in for it, but I don't think he's going to quite find anything on Arc right now.
Arc's moment to shine is right now in the mid lane, keeping Arcale pinned against the tower. Arcale's gone back, bought Tears of the Goddess, and Cassiopeia has been adjusted a little bit in the latest patch to have a weaker early game. But Too Easy, with their vision control, are looking for the Dragon. But prime time for Shockwave, it's also now.
There's one ward, and they're going to go for it. 021, he knows he deals a chunk of damage, and smartly Too Easy going to start backing out. Cupcake does eat a root. Nephius is doing damage to Blinky on the side.
Look at the ball positioning.
Is this going to be a nice secure the Dragon by DNA? It looks like it, unless Rin Toyama caught out by the Shockwave. Arcale flashes forward, takes a chunk, gets a stun. They found Arc. Rin Toyama now looking for 021, who is fleeing as fast as he can. Tried to get that last little auto attack, but that's going to cost him as he ducked back in, because that gives Blinky the window. And he slams his shot on 021's fingers now. Poor Graves. Close but no cigar.
Of course, he's not allowed to have a cigar. But
was that the joke?
Yes, that was the joke.
Oh, thank
I'm sorry.
you.
What do you want me to do from it? Sorry for being a smoking failure there. But in any case, Too Easy are going to move in and use this small advantage that they've got from that fight to get some damage on the tower. Now, DNA did manage to pick up the Dragon, and they do have the better siege composition, so picking that up is going to be pretty strong just with the Caitlyn. Sheldor, they'll be fine for now.
They sorely need to leverage that siege comp, and it's really hard for them because now all that team fight and dive pressure is online already for Too Easy. This is exactly what DNA needed to not happen. They have not kept Jack Attack down either, and you can see now there is a really solid line of vision all across this bottom side for Too Easy.
Yeah, and that's going to mean I'm Tilting and Nephius can play completely safely. They've got a slight CS lead. Caitlyn's basically an O-Prime for now until she gets to that later game phase with 3 items. Needs to really leverage it with the wave clear and pressuring down the turret, because of course we haven't seen a turret go down yet, so that initial demolition bonus gold is still available for either team.
Meanwhile, Cupcake just going straight up for the roam. The Shockwave is good, but it's definitely not going to be enough. Arc is going to get swallowed up. RKL will still be able to deal with damage. Cupcake is doing all this work here. I mean, he can flash. OG1 does come in, actually turns one around, and Arc flashed over the wall. Wow, they managed to get away with it. That was a lot of resources burned now for Too Easy. This could be DNA's window to start getting that siege online.
Of course, Ark going to have to be playing very carefully, but he knows that the Abyssal Voyage isn't there, so he's not going to get flanked by Cupcake. They've got the wave clear to work it down. There's no wave clear coming up from Too Easy right now.
Yeah,
they're in prime position for initial demolition and the mid lane turret too.
They may be able to secure this. Ark is actually going to have to back off, but O2-1 and I'm Tilting are trying to keep the pressure up. They know the Rek'Sai is coming back in, so they are smartly going to back off, but that was a lot of work done, and all they need now is just a little bit of something. Another similar move like that. Good movement by O2-1 as well to keep Arc alive.
And while that was all happening, Nephtheus has been able to shove down into the bottom lane. He's still continuing. Blinky with a full health bar has managed to keep his turret alive for now. Because I feel like once the Karma has left, as you can see, I'm Tilting had to go and match up what was going on in the mid lane. Blinky has, I'd say, more wave clear than the Caitlyn right now, actually matching it.
Yeah, and this is an even CS lane, but there is 3 kills in favor of Blinky. You can see that reflected in the gold lead, about 1,000 ahead right now, Blinky. But funny thing with Nephtheus is he doesn't need a gold lead to be a good sieger. He just needs to outrange, and he's already got that. So unless the rest of the team is setting up good engages, Blinky can't actually leverage that gold lead.
And also looking at the gold lead, Jack Attack also very ahead of his lane. With only 1 kill, which is matched by Sheldor, it's all coming from that CS. Just simply putting him miles ahead. And he's even picked up Frozen Mallet, which allows him to kite even more, but maybe not enough.
Yeah, maybe not enough as he goes mini, but he's going to use the range to his advantage again. Now Sheldor, flash back in just to try and get the turnaround, but Jack Attack quick on the fingers with the boomerang. Rintoyama was there as well to save his bacon. O2-1 not there in time. A very tight 1v1, but that was a flash blown for Sheldor.
And that's a bit of a close call, but in any case, it's only going to get worse from here. But Cupcake's here.
Yeah, he is. He's going to get the damage on I'm Tilting. Does not go for the 3rd hit of the tongue to get that swallow on I'm Tilting, but I'm Tilting will take chunks and back away.
So bringing it back up to the top lane, the fact that Sheldor is so far behind and only just respawning right now, he's got a teleport available. But being so behind, we talked about it in Champions League, he's the only tank on the team. And O2-1, he's only got 2 kills right now, which is about where you'd want to be. But without a front liner, he really needs to be assassinating people, and it's on Arc to get the key shockwaves because right now they're not going to be winning any flat team fights with a tank that far behind.
Yeah, they really need the wombo combo between Arc and O2-1. They can use Sheldor still as a ball delivery system. It might be good enough, but that means Too Easy would also have to be quite clustered. There's a good chance they will be because Cupcake will be sticking close to Blinky and RKL most of the time. Jack Attack as well, if he is trained, will have to be sitting back, but Too Easy are going to try and not get in those team fights, right? They're going to try and look for fights where Rintoyama and Jack Attack are both diving forward and making it as hard as possible for Arc to get the ball in the back line.
Jack Attack's still working on up in that top lane, and you can see he's putting out a small amount of harass, but Sheldor...
Keeping up the turret pressure, that's the key thing.
With the Barmy Cinder and the level 9 now to max out that sapling, if that's the one he's gone for, means his wave clear is actually going to be pretty decent, but as you can see, the chip damage is there, the turret is slowly going down, and as I said before, initial demolition hasn't been picked up yet, so both teams are going to be looking for that as soon as they can, and a weakened tower could be the first target.
Yeah, and I feel like that's either going to be the top lane turret because Jack Attack continues to whittle it down, or it's going to be DNA find a way to pull something out of Too Easy to force some cooldowns and go for that mid lane turret because they have done the groundwork for it. And they sorely need that because they can't really afford to lose that initial demolition gold here. Certainly not to the solo laner.
Definitely not. So they've got options, right? They've got to either focus on the top lane, maybe sort that out, make sure they don't lose the turret, or go for a kill in the bottom lane. But it looks like this is what they're doing.
Yeah, because Jack Attack has gone mega and feels confident about this one. But here's Arc with a lot of damage. Jack Attack is itemized against a Maokai, but not anyone else. But they've... he just flashed out. Arc went way too close to that. He didn't need to be in melee range.
Teleport,
really.
though.
Yeah, teleports back into the mid lane because Rintoyama's put on the pressure. No shockwave available now. They did at least get a flash out of Jack Attack and force the back, so that gives Sheldor some crucial time. And maybe this is what DNA need to get that siege going on that mid lane turret.
We're at a 3,000 gold lead, but we've seen DNA come back from bigger deficits right now, and they do have very great late game macro play. So we'll have a look to see. I mean, Jack Attack, he's got his teleport up, so that's going to be important to watch.
He's going to walk up to the top lane as well, so he's still got that to match Sheldor's potential teleport.
And still, massive gold lead, mostly coming from Jack Attack in the top lane, but a little bit for Blinky as well. Basically, the 2 players that we said DNA needed to shut down are starting to go off. 2 kills on Jack Attack, 3 on Blinky, and they're both hitting crucial item spikes right now.
Oh yeah, already that Essence Reaver picked up. He's even got a cull that is nearly finished, so he'll be getting another little bit of a spike any moment now. Neptheus has not been able to match with a cull of his own just because of where he's been set in this lane matchup so far. And like you said as well, Jack Attack sitting on a frozen mallet.
Yeah, and the other thing is that RKL can do most of his job just getting that stun out, right? Of course, it's going to be pretty hard against the lineup. Oh, he's going to be fine, don't worry.
Well, it's just the continuing chip damage. I mean, Jack Attack, he looks like he's only a couple of lanes away from taking this turret, especially with Rin Toyama coming up to help him out with it.
Maybe looking for a dive, or at the very worst, forcing him away from the turret
Yeah,
and just taking it down.
The answer, though, look at the mid lane. If we can get a little look at that, because O2-1 is putting the pressure down. They are going to try and take that one down before this top one goes down. It's going to be a bit of a race, but it's not going to be.
They're going to match it up.
Yeah, they're going to try and roam up and collapse. That means Sheldor has to live for a long time as his team is on its way. They're trying to get there as fast as they can. Jack Attack about to go mega as well. Here comes Ark, though, going to try and chuck a ball down on Sheldor so that they can get the engage. Sheldor does almost have a flash to get in. The tunnel's out for Rin Toyama. Sheldor, he just can't get in. Too easy, just walked away from that, and DNA wasted time by walking all the way up.
Yeah, so much committed for them to get that right now. Sivir actually working down on that turret, actually managed to get it down there, so now it's a 2-turret lead for Too Easy.
And RKL is working in the mid lane one as well. DNA, they sorely need something, otherwise this is going to be a huge misplay by them.
Yeah, and Too Easy already ahead by 3,000 gold earlier. They're now 1,000 gold further in the lead. And like you said, working on this mid lane turret.
Way.
3 turrets within the span of about a minute.
DNA got completely out-rotated there. They could have either committed to that mid lane turret straight away or committed to the top side straight away. Instead, they did neither, and Too Easy just walked away with everything and the kitchen sink.
Yeah, and their vision control is the absolute key all across that, right? They saw DNA heading up to the top lane, were able to back off. They saw the position of all enemy team members when they looked to get down the mid lane turret, and of course, Blinky in the bottom lane. Now, speaking of turrets, though, this one's pretty low.
And they need to get a team fight. Sheldor's on his way in, so they will have their tank up. They're just trying to out-wave clear, but that's actually a tough ask. They're now also going to have to wait out the Meganar, wait for a minion lane to arrive, a minion wave, sorry. That's going to give Blinky time to get into the fight. And again, DNA have just lost a bit of a window here now. 6,000 gold behind at less than 20 minutes in. They've kind of lost the opportunity for the early lead now, and it's going to be all about really tough, tenuous team fights.
Yeah, really falling on the back foot here, and I feel like I was saying before, the key is that vision, right? There are blue wards all across the map. DNA really need to start matching that, or at least clearing out wards. Look at Rin Toyama. He's able to use the map control to just go straight deep into the enemy jungle. O2-1 is really struggling to keep up on that side.
Yeah, it just all that vision control, and it's been there all game long for Rin Toyama. O2-1. He had a good bit in the very opening stage of the game in the river, but the moment that was lost, they never quite reclaimed it. Herald pops away, Baron is about to come on in, and with all these turrets down, Too Easy can actually start to look to make a power play around that area.
Yeah, and the whole power right now is lying in Jack Attack with that CS lead. 60 CS ahead of his lane opponent in that 1v1 matchup is pretty massive, right? Of course, we all knew the Nara into Maokai matchup was absolutely in his favor, but he's got his turret down, he's got a few kills off the back foot, he's got his frozen mallet. He's going to be the key to Too Easy's win condition.
For sure, they need to play around his mega form as well. Here again, we're seeing Rin Toyama and Cupcake keeping on top of that vision, and Too Easy. They just look a little bit more put together right now than DNA on all fronts. It's the vision control, it's the rotational play, and it's even just, the one-on-one skill as again, Jack Attack gets a solid from the top. Like, that is devastating for DNA because they have to back away from this when they are actually the ones who would want to team fight.
Yeah, and the thing is, Too Easy can actually keep them locked down here while Jack Attack continues to work on that top lane turret. Taking down another turret means that Sheldor, whenever he wants to go out and farm, is going to be in an even more dangerous position. Jack Attack should get this turret down. There's a teleport for Ark, but he's not going to use it right now. Let's have a look at the replay of that 1v1 kill.
I mean, look, it's just Jack Attack with red buff and frozen mallet. Sheldor had already taken so much damage before he even blew the flash. It was just, it's the range. It is honestly the range. We're going to come straight back into a team fight, actually, as Jack Attack has finally been caught out. DNA putting a crucial one back on the board, but they need to turn this into something quick, smart, because Too Easy are rotating to the bottom side to take down a turret.
Oh, no way. They're pinging out the Baron right now. They're the team behind. The teleport, not there, because RKL's not running one. Jack Attack is respawning in 30 seconds.
This has been spotted out by a ward that they have not seen. They can't see the Baron right now, but they spotted DNA moving onto it. They do know it's happening, and now RKL is up there trying to kettle them into the pit. Look at how low I'm tilting, and RKL goes for it. He gets one down, and he gets two down with just two fangs. Now he'll find Neptheus a triple kill like it ain't even a thing.
And they're going to follow it up with one more kill to round it out.
Just 1v1, 0-2-1, and now Sheldor, the last man standing. DNA just got picked apart there like a bunch of grapes.
And a desperation call coming up from DNA, who were behind. They saw so many members of Too Easy way down on the bottom side of the map, but they were a little bit late to the Baron. RKL can bring out so much damage, and with a one-tank lineup, they're just too squishy to face Baron Nashor this early in the game. So off the back of that, Too Easy also, no, they didn't pick up the Baron. Baron's still there. That's an option for them later, but let's just have a look at it, right?
This team fight. This is just all RKL.
Yeah, so it's the Zone C, the Miasma actually keeping everyone inside the pit. Nephi cut off from his team, and with everyone standing together, of course you're going to go for the Petrifying Gaze. 0-2-1, forced on the other side of the wall with Too Easy's remaining members to pick him up, and RKL, with so many squishy members just sitting there, that's easy pickings.
Yeah, funny enough as well, Baron was kind of the MVP of that triple kill because when everyone went to the back of him, the moment they did that, his attack animation ticked over and he does more damage if you're behind him. So everyone on DNA, sans Arc rather, it wasn't even Arc, it was Neptheus, they all took a huge chunk of damage from Baron. That's why it looked like RKL did so much damage. But in any case, finally some vision cleared out for DNA, but there are still so many deep wards for Too Easy. It looks like DNA, you know, even if they had 10 minutes, I don't think they would be able to get on top of this vision game because there's been so much groundwork done by Rintoyama.
Rintoyama just really pulling it off, and you've got to give credit to the rest of the team. Look at the items. Every single member, okay, damn it, one of them put one down, but they all had a pink ward at the same time. And you compare that to the items for DNA, right? Only one of them has a pink ward. Maybe they've got some down on the map, but unfortunately, Too Easy are really stepping all over them with that vision game.
Yeah, I mean, even just one of the supports having a ruby sightstone, funny enough, that is Cupcake, compared to not even a regular sightstone. He's gone to the sideways item, if you will. I am tilting, and now they're going to be looking again maybe for another team fight. DNA, though, about 11k gold behind. This isn't really a team fight they can afford. Look at how much damage 0-2-1 has taken from just 2 tongue lashes.
They've taken a lot of damage indeed, but when you've got an Orianna, you've got a Shockwave, the game is never over. You can win team fights with that ultimate if you play it out completely correctly. And Too Easy, they can get overconfident, but with the amount of vision that they've got and the amount of safety that they've been playing with, I feel like they're not going to walk into that. They're 11,000 gold ahead. They've been ahead all game in almost every single lane, particularly the top lane. Now's not the time where they're going to fall behind.
Oh no, Sheldor just going a little bit too far out of his bounds. Ark is there with a shield, and Sheldor just tanky enough to survive all of that. But the fact that they had to get him to recall means there is now another window where Too Easy can look for more, because DNA, they can potentially look to fight with that shockwave, but they need the Maokai to get it in there.
Too Easy have a ton of vision as well. I mean, I've been saying that for the last 2 minutes. A turret destroyed in the other lane. There's a time limit. They've got to go now.
Oh, they're going for it. 0-2-1 is already down, though. They have found I'm tilting as well. And Jack Attack getting away with murder in the bottom side as Neptheus was helpless as the turret falls before him. Ark was even in the area as well. Honestly, DNA, if they can't hold out against just Jack Attack with 2 of their carries, they can't stop the sieges, they can't win fights, and they can't turn this game back around. And now with the Baron secured for Too Easy, it is looking like that is the way this game is going to be going.
25 minutes in, and we've already got a humongous gold lead right now.
Humongous.
Absolutely. It's huge. Now,
absolutely enormous.
I mean, okay, so let's
this
actually have a look
at
at
the split push. And look, Neptheus, he's trying his earnest, but he's even taking more damage from Jack Attack than Jack Attack is doing to him. And again, Ark, he committed the shockwave, but the flash was there, and there was just too much ground made by Jack Attack after that one.
And that is all that Jack Attack needed to do. Just get the turret down, get the heck out of there. Now, Too Easy, with the amount of comfort they've got, the amount of vision they've got, easily pick up an Ocean Drake. Now that with the Mountain Drake as well, they've now got the Mud combination. They can look to siege up even more, get that regeneration and the bonus damage from Toyama. Even just the control around this side of the map allows them to take away that blue buff.
0-2-1 does secure his own blue buff, and now he's blinking to make the fight happen. 0-2-1, super squishy, not dealing enough damage either. Sheldor, the shockwave finally does land, but it only really catches Cupcake. Rintoyama can't quite find Sheldor over the wall. Jack Attack. Oh, the building does connect.
He's picking it up.
He's trying, he misses the scoop on I'm tilting, and he goes back into mini form, but I'm tilting is sure to fall here. Oh no, Castle's Curse. The inhibitor, surely that's gonna die. And there we go.
And why stop there, right? 021 is still dead.
They've got a Baron buff.
Minions ready to siege up the mid lane turret. You're all basically full health. You can get another inhibitor and absolutely cripple DNA, who only struggled to get 4 kills on the map so far.
Look at the minions in the top lane. They could potentially get all 3 turrets and inhibitors even as 021 comes back up, because like I said, if Jack Attack could take out an inhibitor turret 1 versus 2, then 5 versus 5, too easy, have it in the bag.
And that is how you count, for ladies and gentlemen. Now, the line of traps, it's going to help, but it's not going to be enough as the damage on this turret is stacking up.
Yeah, not with that big cannon minion either sitting at long range. They're already doing good chunks to it, and they can just sit there, have a patient siege about it, and even with the outrange, even underneath their turret, DNA are still getting outpoked.
Now, I feel like we've seen this before. Too easy on the last inhibitor turret. About 2 weeks ago, guys, cast your minds back, against the villains, they were in this position. However, they fell victim to a Gnar team fight. Jack Attack, though, is the one playing Gnar this time. They've got to watch out for that shockwave. It's a similar thing. They've just got to not fall into that trap. Keep the pressure up. You've got super minions in the mid and bot lane. You've got time. Yeah,
and they're already getting the damage onto it again. They're just getting little bits here and there. It's really just one more wave, and then the thing is donezo for sure. Already 021 super low, forced to back out. And this is all something too easy knows. They're just waiting for that wave. They've learned patience, learned from their mistake against the villains.
Yeah, last time this happened, actually, we saw Rintoyama flash in, attacked the turret to get it down, didn't even get it, and then lost the team fight for his team. They're playing it carefully, but not careful now.
Oh, they haven't actually finished with the turret. They do finally get it. Sheldon's gone in. He's got no ball on him, and they've already zoned off and now killed Nepthys on the side, blinking with a straight up 1v1. And it's 4 members now, but Sheldon not tanky enough as I'm tilting falls down. And Rintoyama was just wreaking havoc on the side with his buddies. The next turret falls, and the Nexus now totally exposed. Ark and Sheldor zone back onto the fountain as 021 drops. The Nexus is going to follow. DNA, they've looked good week to week. They have all the glimmers of a great team here, and they've made it to our top 5. Too easy are looking even better. This is the best form we've seen them in yet.
Yeah, Too Easy not letting anything stop them at all. Control of vision around the map, control of every single lane, and particularly knowing their win condition and getting Jack Attack so far ahead that he brings so much to team fights. Played that out flawlessly, and DNA struggled to keep up.
Yeah, and we talked about the keys to the game there, how DNA, they needed to get some early leads out of the Graves, potentially out of the mid lane as well. They needed to keep Jack Attack down. They needed to keep the bottom lane down. And really, it was just all too much to ask at the end of the day. Their draft just couldn't support that in the end, and we saw them suffer for that. I mean, it's not even like they just barely held on and stayed. Even in the early parts of the game, they didn't even start with a lead. They started from behind pretty much right from the word go with that early gank down bottom by Rintoyama. And from there, it felt like all she wrote, unfortunately, for DNA. And like I said, Too Easy looking the best form they've been yet. I still believe in DNA. I still reckon they have what it takes to turn it back around. But they're now facing a much harder team than the one they faced in the first week.
And now they've got to win 2 games in a row if they're going to hope to stay in the NZGC and move on through the qualifying stage, or the playoff stage, sorry, to face the winner of last night, which was Tiger Eye. They've got a huge amount of pressure on them right now. 1 game loss, and they could be gone too, like Decode.
And it's worth mentioning as well, that is a Tiger Eye who just beat Too Easy. So even if DNA can pull out the win, there is still an even bigger ask in trying to take out Tiger Eye. But that's still a way away, and heck, might not even happen. What is definitely going to happen is Game 2 right after this break. And when we come back, we will be joined by Johnny Cycle.
Every challenge is a call to play smarter, to push further, to be better. That's why we put every aspect of gaming under the microscope. We are Logitech G. Gaming is our passion. Winning is our pursuit. Science is our method.
And welcome back. We just gave the smoke machine a bit of a blast, so it looks like we've been hitting the wacky tobacco in here. And we are joined, of course, by Johnny Cyclone Weatherly to help us break down what we just saw in that last game. So let's not beat about the bush. DNA lost. They lost right from the word go. What was the story of that game?
E2EASY are earning a lot more gold. So I got a stat here that says that they're earning an extra 600 gold per minute. That's a lot. That resulted in a 17k gold lead at 28 minutes when they won the game.
And that's also not just a spike in gold after a lucky team fight. That's just all across the game, right? They're continuously getting a lead and holding on to it, continuing that into the late game. They were never behind.
Yeah, exactly. So the other thing we saw as well, and I kind of touched on this just as we left that game, was DNA. They had a lot of things they needed to do to keep 2EASY down, and it was just a bit too much for that team comp. What do they need to be changing up in the draft here to stop that from happening in this game?
So 2EASY really like to play aggressive right from the word go, and DNA just picked some slow scaling lanes, and it was just a bit much. So they need to pick something slightly stronger in the early game, because that'll help them survive that aggression from Blinky and co.
All right, well, are there any particular adaptations, maybe particular things you feel they need to ban away in that one? Because they ended up having to prioritize the Karma for I'm Tilting's sake. They do have the blue side this time, so they can probably secure that for themselves. Is there something else they maybe want to prioritize here?
I think a more aggressive mid laner than Orianna. Their mid laner arc normally does most of the damage on their team, so something really scary like a Cassiopeia, maybe a Victor. The thin champion pools is becoming a problem for them, though, so maybe if they survive tonight, they're going to need to work on something next week for sure.
I have had a look at their match history as well, and they have been practicing, a few of them trying out new champions, particularly we saw I'm Tilting tonight playing that Karma. Previously, we've seen him focus on champions like Sona and Soraka. Not as much of an option ever since 619, where Soraka was hurt, and, well, everyone's worked out that you can't let him have Sona. So it's definitely good to see that they have been picking up new champions, but is it maybe too late in the tournament where the practice just, there's not enough time?
That is a potential thing. And the other thing I kind of want to touch on as well is Jack Attack. Jack Attack absolutely steamrolled top lane right from the word go. He had a bit of a favourable matchup, to be sure, with that Gnar, with that range. Is that something they maybe want to take away from him? I mean, you can't really ban out Jack Attack. So how on earth are they going to deal with this guy in this game?
Yeah, the Gnar vs Maokai matchup is pretty standard, and if they don't take it away from him, he'll just play it again quite happily. So they either have to take the Gnar away or put him on Shen, which he'll be totally happy with as well. So maybe taking the Gnar away would be a good option, because that would beat his favourite counter.
It's a bit risky, though, because you don't want to pick Gnar up straight away. And now that 2EASY are red side, they have the option to go for that counter pick right at the end of the draft phase. And if they do want to take it away, the only other option, right, is to just flat out ban it. And that's taking up one of their ban slots. They're also on blue side, so they do have the flexibility to do that, but you definitely want to be targeting other more important things right now. But it feels like with options very limited, it might be the only thing they can do to hope to win.
And the last thing I want to touch on before we jump into this next pick and ban phase is that Tahm Kench. Tahm Kench was crucial in how Tiger Eye were able to beat up 2EASY early in the week. And then when the Tahm Kench was finally banned away, Tiger Eye had another option on the table for themselves. We're seeing the safety that Tahm Kench provides is absolutely wreaking havoc with these much squishier team comps. We know 021 likes squishy carry-oriented junglers. Does he need to maybe change it up for this game, or do they need to find another way to maybe either ban out the Tahm Kench or take it away, or are they just going to try and live with it and get fed somewhere else?
If they have some champions with some space control, so for example, Gragas is really good at separating a team out. Tahm Kench can't do anything if he's in the back line and the AD carries in the front line. Otherwise, yeah, just something that can bully him out a bit more in lane.
It's also just something that DNA have to work on as a team, right? They've got I'm Tilting, who does not play tanky supports very often. I have not seen him play Braum. I have not seen him play Tahm Kench. So if you have 021 who's also going to play a squishy jungler, you need your top laner who's going to be your front line to get ahead, or you need to just sit 021 down and say, look, that one game you played Rek'Sai, we actually did pretty well. And yeah, it was picked away from you in game one. You have first pick available to you this time. There are still other junglers. Like Cyclone said, you've got Gragas as well, a good tank jungler. There are options, and I feel like DNA can't really run ahead with a single tank team composition as comfortably as they really feel like they can.
Yeah, certainly not when Jack Attack has been doing so well in this top lane, where they would otherwise be finding their tank. Let's take another look at these team lineups, though, just to refresh all our memories before we jump into this second match. I mean, hey, who even is Jack Attack?
Right, well, we'll find it out in just a second.
We're actually going to find out right now. Too Easy is the first team.
Yeah, and the second team will be DNA, as you can see on the screen right now. But I can tell you right now, before even looking at the team lineup, Jack Attack is the top laner for Too Easy Gaming. Rin Toyama will be in the jungle, dropping those wards all over the map. Kale in the mid lane. Keep your eyes open once again for Blinky as the AD carry and Cupcake on support.
And mentioning those wards, man, Too Easy are placing 20% more wards every game at the moment. So it's a massive key to victory.
That is another number. And a pretty cool one at that. DNA, Shelter in the top lane for them. 0-1. They're aggressive carrying jungler. Arc in the mid lane. Nephtheus at 80 carrying behind Tilty with his.
They're going to need to look to put a lot more wards down. These guys, they know how to play together. They got a lot of mid damage coming out of the mid lane.
Well, there you have it. Piece of the game. All sussed and pumped now as we jump straight on into Champion Select. And already we join it with Zach banned away from Rin Toyama. Jin now banned away from Neff. We're seeing a lot of the same bans actually as before.
Yeah, same bans as before. So this is going to be where the question comes up. Do they have room in their bans to take the Gnar away? You don't want to first pick it. So Too Easy could do the same thing, but then again, do they pick it up early? Do they leave it until the last pick? Whereas DNA can pick it up on their set of last pick rotations. We'll have to find out. The next ban that comes out is Elise, targeting 0-1 in the jungle once again.
Yeah.
Italy is probably going to be the next ban.
Yeah, and they know that he cannot afford to first pick Graves here, so they kind of force him to first pick a Rek'Sai potentially, but no, actually, 0-1 bans it away, and Italy gets banned out. Oh, DNA, they must surely have a plan here.
Well, Karma is on the table for them to pick up once again. It takes away one of those strong laning opportunities for Too Easy. But I feel like they played very well with a Sivir and Tahm Kench. I feel like along with the Tahm Kench, they can take basically anything into the bottom lane. Cassiopeia, this is what Johnny was saying in the Champion Select earlier, Cyclone, picking up a more aggressive style mid laner that puts out a lot of damage.
Yeah, I'm liking that. Also to note, Sona is open. Sona was actually open last game as well. I'm tilting to up for it.
No, it was the first ban.
Oh, I'm a liar.
Sorry, buddy.
Castle's Curse.
No, it doesn't
No,
work.
I was
It doesn't
just,
work
I was
with
just
me.
completely wrong, yeah. So, Sona is open, and it's sort of like Frog and Snivia. Every so often, a team thinks, maybe we don't still need to ban it out, and then I'm tilting proves why you need to ban it out. I would not at all be surprised to see that. I would also not at all be surprised to see Too Easy take away a jungler. Funny enough, though, they know they can't take away the Graves straight away, because you kind of need to pick that later on, even though it's got a good matchup against the Cassiopeia. So, I think this is kind of mind games for DNA, maybe trying to bait out the Graves pick so that they can then pick up a more high priority jungler.
Yeah, so many junglers has taken off the table, and they do have the option to take another one. 7 seconds to go. I feel like Graves would be rough. Lucian, I like.
Okay, Kindred, the other carry jungler, taken off the board. I would like to see 0-1 on a tanky jungler anyway. With Elise and Rek'Sai off the table, he kind of has to go on to something like a Gragas, like Cyclone was saying, and I would like to see that in case Cupcake wants that Tahm Kench, and yeah, what a shock! I'm tilting, he's going to play Sona. 0-1 is going to lock in Ezreal for Nephtheus as well, so they do need to pick up tanks here.
And this is something they've done before. They pair the Ezreal with the Sona to put out an immense amount of poke damage, an immense amount of trade damage in the bottom lane. And against a short-range champion like Lucian, they're definitely going to be able to punish that. We might see Too Easy pick up the Tahm Kench again. I feel like they'll definitely save last pick for that top lane where Gnar is still open. I'd be surprised if Jack Attack didn't pick that up again. There we go, support a mid lane locked in. Yeah, and speaking of high damage aggressive mid laners,
Lucian Braum, and this is, it's going to be Blinky, who we've already seen do phenomenally well when he can get a little bit of a lead, and honestly the synergy with the Braum lane is just fantastic. 0-1, they're hovering over a couple of different junglers for him, Nephtheus. He hovered over Vi, which actually I think could be quite good in this team comp here.
Lee Sin is another New Zealand jungler that floats around the scene. A few key junglers we've seen players like Bomi, Puni have played that champion. Haven't seen 0-1 on it, but it fits his playstyle right now.
Surely,
Carry
yeah.
heavy, early game, looking to bring out a lot of kills, a lot of damage.
But they need tankiness. They sorely need tankiness, and they could pick this Lee Sin. It is open, sure, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. I would say if they don't pick up something tanky here, they're going to be in dire straits for this game. They are looking like they want the Gnar. I think that is a good call, but even then, Gnar is only a half tank, right? Maybe the Trundle is the option as well. That leaves Gnar open for Jack Attack. And they are going to lock in Lee Sin, DNA. They're looking really lean on the tanks again. And this time they are potentially facing a double tank, but the second tank will only be the support, just because Rin Toyama's taking a carry. But in any case, I almost guarantee we're seeing an art here.
Yeah, definitely. But I actually talked to Shoulder.
Hey, Macarena.
Yeah, there it is. I talked to Raven about how he feels about this matchup because quite commonly we've seen him pick Trundle into Nah, and he told me it's simply just live through lane and then win late game because you can play.
That's Raven's approach to everything, though.
That's true. I mean, Raven has gone win lane, win game before in that Aurelia, but with the Trundle, right, the key to that victory in that lane matchup is not killing Nah because you're not going to be able to do that. He can kite you way too much. It's survive the lane, and then when you move into late game, Trundle does so much damage. He's such a massive tank. You can play with your team. You can split push if you're ahead. Against Nah, though, you can play around that condition very easily with his Mega Form.
Yeah, and I want to speak to that win condition a little bit as well. I have some thoughts, funnily enough. I will hold on to them for the moment, though. I just want to touch one more time on that bottom lane because both have such strong lanes, and bottom lane was actually the most even lane for a significant part of that game, even as Nephtheus were getting pressured, Nephtheus and Antillic, sorry, were getting pressured on a lot. And one of the key things they bring right here is poke.
Huge amount of poke down there. It's up.
Poke.
Poke?
Poke.
Oh, no, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
Poke.
Poke.
Powered by Playtech.
Hey guys, my name's Arcadian and welcome to How to Play League of Legends, where I walk you through the basic concepts around one of the world's most popular online games, all so you can get a piece of the action. Now this time we're going to be looking at something called poke. And so in League of Legends, poking is almost exactly what it sounds like. It's a little bit of a poke, a love tap. The poke is to get some long-range damage off before any fighting starts. Think of like poking a bear from really far away with a really long stick. The purpose is to get the enemy low and maybe get them to use some abilities or some resources to keep them ready to fight. Now the reason people poke is to build pressure on your team to force them to make a strategic decision, to fight or to flee. If they continue to stand around and get poked, eventually they will lose out if they can't dish out some poke of their own. And so they need to either choose to engage and fight before they get too low, or get out of there and recover, leaving the objective open for the taking. There are particular champions in League of Legends, or heroes, who are extremely good at poking, and some teams choose to build their entire team around the concept of poke. Remember when I said that they have to choose whether they want to fight or flee? Well, if you have some other champions on your team who are designed to punish people from jumping in and fighting, or alternatively who excel at taking different objectives if they're left unattended, it can be an extremely rewarding and difficult strategy to play against. But that's all for now. And so thanks for watching, this has been your teacher Arcadian, and until next time, as always, arc out!
Alright, well now you know what ganking and poking are. We're going to get ahead into this game in just a few moments here. First though, like I said earlier, I want to speak to these win conditions a little, and I was just talking to you about this as well. Both teams need to get an early game lead, but I would say DNA need it more than 2easy, because 2easy have a mid-game power spike out of Lucian they can leverage.
That's true. I mean, looking at DNA, you've got to listen. Any composition we've got to Lee Sin, you've got to get that early pressure down, because later on in the game, post 20 minutes, Lee Sin is just a walking kick, right? And some players like Insec, of course, a walking kick.
You've got 1 foot up already to kick that.
Like that. That looked ridiculous on camera. I'm never doing that again. But yeah, no, it's a walking ultimate, right? And you can use that very effectively, but it's not as strong as other junglers. So you need to get ahead in the early game with Lee Sin.
On the flip side of that, though, is Kindred, who will also be quite ineffectual in the late game if she doesn't have a good early game. So whereas Lee Sin needs to have a good early game in terms of what he provides to his teammates, Kindred needs a good early game in what she provides to herself, right? Or I guess itself. But
themselves.
Yeah. Sorry. Pronouns. So that's going to be quite a crucial thing here. And I was kind of speaking to this as well. Rintoyama in that last game had fantastic vision control. Was running circles around 021's vision control. If he can pull it off again, he can totally stop this Lee Sin from doing that in the early game and definitely get a lead for himself, because we've also seen him be a much more proactive ganker than 021. Granted, in the last game, 021 was Graves, who does take a little bit more time before he can really get into ganking, and even then doesn't have the same crowd control tools as Rek'Sai, but I expect to see Rin Toyama making early moves, getting early pressure, either getting kills for himself or getting kills for his teammates.
Yeah, 021 definitely needs to focus on those kills as well, because the way he plays, it's just completely for himself, needs to get the kills on him, maybe help out his laners too, because not a very team-oriented jungler in the competition so far. Of course, not matching up the ward control that Rin Toyama brought.
And I am excited to see how that all pans out, whether it is going to be Rin Toyama all over with the vision, or if 021, the blind monk, is going to find some vision of his own as we hit the ref for Game 2. DNA sorely needing one back on the board, facing Elimination as Too Easy come in with one game ahead.
And this is potentially, as you said, DNA's last game in the NZGC for now. They're facing Elimination. They need to win 2 games in a row. Too Easy with a very strong showing, almost having a perfect game 1. DNA, there's a lot stacked against them this game. They've changed their champion lineup. The Sona has come through. Can they do it this game?
And like we said, every so often, a team wonders if maybe they don't need to ban Sona anymore. I'm Tilting proves otherwise. Is this going to be him proving that one more time? DNA, they have a lot to prove here. DNA have improved week to week, to be sure, but so have Too Easy. This is a stronger Too Easy, even than we saw last Wednesday.
And the superstar matchup, of course, it's Blinky and Cupcake, a really tough duo to crack. And they're playing Lucian and Braum. Lucian, I mentioned in Champions League, one of the lower range AD carries. But with the synergy that they come out with Braum, brings so much kill potential against squishy Ezreal, squishy Sona. Sona, not a huge amount of mobility. I'm Tilting is bringing Ignite as well. There's no exhaust to stop that kill pressure. Cupcake bringing the same thing.
Yeah.
But he's going to bring crowd control.
Cupcake and Blinky as well, we talk about Lucian Braum synergy. It's just nuts because of that double tap. They can always land stuns, and they can land stuns on both of you in quick succession. Ezreal does have a bit of escapability, but he is squishy. So if the stuns don't land, well, it's problem time. And it's going to be a lot of kill pressure early on in this game by Too Easy. I also wouldn't be surprised to see Rin Toyama path that way as well.
Well, we saw it happen almost immediately at the start of Game 1, and it worked out fantastically, blowing 3 out of 4 summoner spells in the very first gank. See if it happens again, and like we said before, Blinky and Cupcake, huge amount of kill potential, even with Cupcake only at level 1.
But Nephius and I'm Tilting bring all the poke. It's kind of like last game as well. And oh wow, they're already going in onto I'm Tilting. Well, this is the way to do it. Are they going to get this for real? What? The kill pressure is just too big with Blinky only at level 2. They blew 2 flashes and all their summoners for that, but call it worth. They're going to get Nephius as well? No way! Blinky just destroyed DNA's bottom lane. This is an omen.
Oh boy, they don't even need Rin Toyama's help. Blinky and Cupcake, like, I could not have hyped it up anymore, and they had exactly the way to follow it.
Like you said, they don't need Rin Toyama's help, so Rin Toyama is instead going to stay on the top side, where Jack Attack is already putting on the pressure. He's going to get a mark for himself. Never mind that, let's just take a look at DNA getting demolished.
And I'm Tilting standing way out of position here, and Cupcake reading it perfectly, walks in, and even from level 1, Braum brings a huge stun, and Blinky, level 2, huge amount of burst.
Yeah.
The synergy to stack up that stun almost immediately.
And this was the Ignite pressure as well. Sona is just so squishy, and so is Ezreal with that stun down. Just great leverage of the power spike they had. Now he returns to lane already with a whole serrated dirt as an advantage. And there was the mark picked up for Kindred. Could the opening 3 minutes have gone any better for Too Easy?
Not at all, and this is putting so much pressure now on 021, who needs to match what Blinky and Cupcake have accomplished. That's hard, because that's 2 kills on arguably the most important player.
And Cupcake is already here with his jungler and his AD in the area. A 3 versus 3 still goes the way of Too Easy right now because of Kindred's mark and because of that serrated dirt.
Such a hard matchup to move into. We haven't talked much about this mid lane either, and RKL, I feel, with the Syndra, has the advantage.
Goes to ward, but he walks right into Rin Toyama. Actually, he's trying to turn around the damage because RKL's been away. Rin Toyama does get out. Arc flashes away over the wall. He nearly actually got a kill for that one. Rin Toyama held on to his flash, though, and he is just going to be able to recall for now.
Yeah, Arc actually dropping his mana bar there. Didn't have enough to actually finish off the kill. But, importantly, like you said, that's his flash gone, and I believe his Ignite as well.
And he's really squishy without either of those things. His exhaust is what the other one is, And he's really squishy, really immobile, very vulnerable now without that flash.
So if there's going to be another target to go for, Rin Toyama can focus on that mid lane. So much kill potential there, especially once RKL hits level 6. He's going to have that level advantage too, so he can continue pushing it there, using the ultimates as well. because he doesn't need to pay attention to the bottom lane. Blinky and Cupcake, I think they've got themselves sorted.
0-2-1 though is going to try and come into the pressure on Arkael, who is out of mana, but 0-2-1 doesn't quite want to go for it, actually, given that he is a little bit low, really. And now Ark is going to be able to return to lane with a Tear of the Goddess for himself, actually. That's quite a significant pickup.
It's a significant pickup, but also for Arkael now, he knows that he's got even more of an early game advantage, able to pick up an item that actually, gives him stats rather than just stacking up mana. So Ark is walking into a very dangerous phase of the game with both of his summoner spells down. He's going to hit level 6 after Arkael, I believe, unless Arkael gets to lane quicker, but action is moving towards the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, Rintoyama's looking for something here, to be sure. And like you said, mid lane and now bot lane as well, moving into a difficult part of the map. I'm telling you, he's already taken chugs just in the 2 versus 2. Rintoyama, I don't even think he needed to be there to secure that one, but he did anyway. It does get picked up, and now Neptheus has to back up a long, long way, or Rintoyama is just going to take him right out. 0-2-1 is coming in for the collapse, but this is just Rintoyama getting straight out here. And, they're going to go toe-to-toe for a bit. I don't think anything's really going to come of this. Rintoyama can just hop away over the wall. Already dealing a ton of damage to 0-2-1 as well.
And that's a level behind as well. Rintoyama just showing that the matchup in the jungle there is just ever so slightly in the favor of the Kindred. Also, while all that was happening, Sheldon was completely forced out of lane. He's been forced to use his teleport to get back up there. Jack Attack, he's ahead in experience, ahead in CS by a significant amount. This is looking a lot like a very fast version of Game 1.
Yeah, Ark getting caught out of position in the mid lane. Arkael throws down the ultimate. Rintoyama to scoop it up. And, wow, Jack Attack as well on that top lane. Like you said, the CS advantage, the everything advantage, really. Now going to be able to teleport back to lane with a Joram's Fist already. And you said that in this matchup, Trundle only needs to survive the lane. Well, if he survives the lane having lost a turret and is 20 CS down, can you really call it even?
No, speaking of not even at all, 2-0-1 Blinky, 1,100 gold ahead before 7 minutes have even ticked on the clock right now. He's walking back to lane. He's almost finished up his very first item. He's going to bring a lot of damage. And again, it's a similar story to the Cassiopeia in mid lane. Ezreal has to pick up the Tears of the Goddess as well, and walking into a bit of a power slump while he stacks up that item.
Yeah, and also a cull picked up for Neptheus. Every member of DNA has set themselves up so that they're going to take a little bit of time to get going here. 0-2-1 has also been totally spotted out on the top side of this jungle. First by the Wolf Spirit and then by that pink ward. So DNA, they are not at a point where they can get something back on the board, and they really need to be, because otherwise 2easy going to start to run away with this lead.
And speaking of leads, it's a lead in every single lane right now. And if you could call the jungle a lane, well, technically there too, because Rintoyama has a kill to match up that.
The lanes.
Yeah, jungle is called the lanes. And Rintoyama, he's only really been affecting this mid lane because, like you said, the one time he showed up to the bottom lane, didn't even really need to be there. Blinky and Cupcake, like I said, have it sorted. And really, the power slump's coming up from DNA right now with the 2 Tears of the Goddess and Sheldor walking into a losing lane. It's just crumbling right now for DNA.
Blinky and Cupcake are able to pressure this turret as well. 0-2-1, you can tell he's sitting there in the jungle going, I don't even know which lane to gank first. And the longer he sits with indecision, the harder each of these lanes gets hit. He's going to finally try and commit to the mid lane, but Rintoyama isn't exactly far off. If he goes in for something, they need to execute on it quick smart. And honestly, Arkael is not giving them that window.
Does a flash, war jump flash into the Dragon's Rage. Kick Arkael completely out of position, but is going to have to pull that off perfectly. It might be the key now.
That could be the way. Oh, they're trying to go for it. No, the flash for Arkael meant he got kicked to safety, and Rintoyama has gone to the bottom lane to secure that turret. DNA do not find a trade in that one, and even if they had, it would have only been a trade and still a lead for 2easy. Instead, the lead just grows ever wider. I'm tilting. I feel like his name might be coming a bit true.
And it's 4,000 gold lead right now for 2easy. Rintoyama, he can do the same thing he did in bottom lane, just show up in another lane where there is an advantage, there is kill pressure, and just say, look, get the heck out of here, I want to kill this tower, and then I'll be gone, and then you can continue laning. Or he can put some pressure on the dragon, but as a Cloud Drake, I feel like doesn't really need to. 2easy just want to continue laning at this point.
Yeah, 2easy. They want to continue laning and continue pressuring the turrets because Jack Attack is always chipping away at that top one. The only one that they don't have immediate pressure on is the mid one, but all they need is one good rotation with Rintoyama and Blinky, and that one will drop pretty quick smart. 2easy. The ball is in their end of the court, and they are not a team that is known for dropping the ball.
Yeah, and Rintoyama actually showing his face I don't actually see where it was. No,
Somewhere.
sorry, it was not Rintoyama. It's Cupcake. Moving around the Herald area, the Rift Herald.
Herald
area.
the Herald.
Getting vision down there as well, because it's not just Rintoyama who's been walking around getting those wards all over the map. It's also been the support of the game as well. We've actually seen, like you said, in the last game, he had a Ruby Sightstone at the time that I'm Tilting only had the regular Sightstone item and actually going for a side grade, really prioritizing that ward control.
Yeah, we're going to be able to get back into this game. Just a brief pause, just for a little bit of fun. And Cupcake has gone with a long roam all the way up top here. Does get spotted out by a ward, but he doesn't even care. He knows that there's going to be a ward there. They've actually spotted out 021 again. They just have the vision control. They've sent Blinky up here so that they can deal with that top lane turret nice and fast. Like I said, then it'll all be about setting up the rotation to take the mid-game, the mid lane one, and probably the mid-game too.
And everyone but 021 actually is running back to their lane right now, frantically to try and catch up that CS. Like I said before, it's a CS lead for everyone right now on Too Easy. Even the support, look at that. Brown is 14 CS compared to I'm Tilting's 1.
In all fairness, he does have a relic shield.
That's true, but
he does
still.
actually want to be hitting CS. It's interesting as well that Nephtheus and I'm Tilting are the ones moved up here to answer. I mean, certainly Sheldor can't, but it's not like Nephtheus and I'm Tilting can either. Actually, we saw in the mid lane there, Ark got really zoned out by Rintoyama. Nearly secured a kill in return, and he did get out without blowing his flash, which is nice for him. RKL did not have his own flash available after that first gank, so Ark, if he can get a couple more items, might still be able to swing this lane in his favor.
And speaking of items as well, take a look at that bottom lane.
Yeah,
Blinky
ooh.
with the Yomu's Ghost Blade. It's really the top lane now, isn't it? But he's got his Ghost Blade. Even Cupcake has picked up Boots of Mobility. Compare that to their counterparts, right? Nephthys still sitting on that Tears of the Goddess power slump. He's picked up a Sheen, which is nice and all, but it's no Ghost Blade. And Tilting, he's only just completed his Sightstone.
Only just. No boots for him either. There is so much roam pressure that comes out of Cupcake by comparison. Puts a little bit less of a burden on Rintoyama as far as vision control goes, and that's something we've seen Too Easy do so well in the past, something we're seeing them doing again in this lane, in this game, and this lane. All these lanes, everywhere. Too Easy.
And just look at this. He's moving straight into the enemy jungle right now, and I'll see you later, RKL.
Yeah, see you later, Alligator, and RKL kind of bites the dust in the mid lane. We might be able to get a replay of that, but first, Rintoyama, he's got something to say. Oh, the crescendo goes wide. Rintoyama, here's still a squishy man, goes down. Oh, and the culling stopped up by a kick. Now actually Blinky's taking chunks. They do find Nephtheus, but 021, he can't close out on Blinky, even as Blinky has no mana. I'm Tilting is going to be the one who does it. And now Cupcake, he can't actually kill either of those members, and with RKL unable to roam up, they actually need to get out. Funnily enough, if RKL hadn't have died there, I think that would have gone totally in Too Easy's favor, but DNA instead crucially find some kills for themselves.
They find a 3-for-1. That's a great trade to have when you're this far behind.
And one of those was a solo kill.
That's absolutely true. I mean, honestly, it's looking good. Here's the replay.
Yeah, this is what happened in the mid lane.
Yeah, I feel like it's just going to be a flash ult. Maybe not even flash. Is it?
RKL. It was the ult there. Like you said, not even flash. It was just RKL thought he had enough damage on Ark, but he didn't.
Yeah, always got to calculate that damage, otherwise your opponent's going to walk away on no health.
Just giving him a lot more respect now.
Yeah, definitely have to play a little bit more carefully. Let's take a deep breath and have a look at the standings right now. Jack Attack just picking up that frozen mallet. He was already dominating lane. I feel like it's going to be even worse now. Already talked about the Ghostblade power spike.
Yeah, and DNA, they've found something back on the board for themselves, sure, but while this is all happening, Jack Attack is keeping up pressure there, and of course, Blinky and Cupcake draw 021 out constantly, and that means Jack Attack goes unanswered, so Too Easy. They're not even too fussed about those kills going back over the way of DNA.
And all the kills are going exactly where they need to for Too Easy. Talked about their win condition. It is getting Blinky into that mid game and smashing through the enemy team when they do it. 3 kills for him. They did slip up a little bit around the top side of the map with that team fight. They just need to play it a little bit more carefully and make use of Blinky's power spike. What is that?
Yeah,
an almost 2,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and I was going to say, really, with that Ghost Blade, he's already kind of at that power spike, and that means he's probably going to be able to get this turret in time. Like I said, again, this draws out 021. Rintoyama knows that. Takes his time to set up in position here. It's just going to draw out the mid laners this time, though.
Mid laners hanging around, still in that mid lane. Trying to farm up, and like I said before, you know, it's a CS lead in every side of the map for Too Easy. It's just, they're outlaning, they're outplaying, and Ark has been caught!
Yeah, where have we seen this before? He gets a stun down, but Rintoyama, quick smart on the gank, and this was all because DNA thought Rintoyama was still up top. They have zip as far as wards go in that side of the jungle. They have no idea where Too Easy are.
And speaking of where 2EZ are, they're actually facing up this dragon right now. 0-1. Lee Sin, one of the best junglers for stealing dragons, but without any vision on it, you've got no idea when it's on low health.
And Rin Toyama does so much damage as well to it.
Yeah, and definitely he's sitting at, I think that's 4 stacks. It's quite hard to tell right now.
Oh, no way. He's going to go up to 0-1 as well after seeing the jungle creep. This could cost him, though. Oh, but the stun is there on 0-1. Rin Toyama saving his own life, and they know they've got Jack Attack to secure this one. Rin Toyama will take a bit of a heal. 0-1 actually forced to dash away over the wall. Flashes as well. Oh, a nice ability to stop it up from Sheldor. And 0-1 will get out, but I mean, hey, Rin Toyama will colour himself pleased with that because he's forced out 0-1 and can continue his vision dominance.
Yeah, and the next dragon, as you can see right there on your screens, is going to be an Infernal Drake. Jack Attack's still going for those trades, but the Infernal Drake going to be very important for 2EZ, obviously.
Yeah.
They're ahead. Why not make that even worse for DNA right now? DNA, their only real key reason for picking up the Infernal Drake in 6 minutes is going to be just to deny it away from 2EZ.
And now, 2EZ, already with 5k in their favour as the gold lead. They're going to take a bit of a breather here. Rin Toyama wants to repeat gank on Ark. Yeah, again, Caster's Curse. Catch me a liar.
Not just Rin Toyama.
Yeah, oh, I don't mind being caught a liar, though, when it's all action. Ark again. Have you not learned to ward those side lanes yet, buddy? DNA look in disarray here.
Yeah, now they're going to push down this turret right here. They still got to wait for another minion wave, but I feel like they've got the time to do that. They've got the positional advantage around the Rift Herald as well. Jack Attack's not going to be the one to pick it up, but they can still pick it up for all that gold that it brings. And honestly, look, they've got positioning power around the top side of the map. 0-1 already slipping away from the early game power that Lee Sin brings.
They actually caught a Q on okay. My mind was telling me no, my body was telling me yeah. Oh, Rin Toyama, he knows where 0-1 is before 0-1 even knows it. Forced to just kick Rin Toyama away to get some distance there. Rin Toyama was sure to win that 1v1 had it gone on any longer. And with that, 0-1 is forced out of this lane. Blinky gets the turret. 2EZ, and so it goes, and so it goes.
And 2EZ, I said it before, they just want to keep laning. That's what they're doing. They are roaming around with, obviously, their jungler, but Cupcake moving around too, showing that he's such a strong roaming support, matching I'm Tilting, who has been known to roam a lot as well, but is clearly in no position to do any roaming when DNA are just struggling to keep any turrets alive right now. Of course, they've only lost 2. Oh, sorry, 3, but they are losing on multiple sides of the map. Actually, that's Jack Attack getting to the bottom lane.
I think I want to say here as well, you're right, 2EZ, they just want to keep laning, but unfortunately for DNA, they just want to keep laning as well, because they need to ramp up in power before they can fight. They can't just go and look for team fights here to turn it around, because they will lose them. 2EZ are that far ahead right now, a little bit over 6,000 gold at only 17 minutes now. DNA, if they want to keep the laning phase going, and 2EZ want to keep the laning phase going, then it doesn't take a genius to figure out how the game's going to fall. They need to find some other way to get in this game, and I honestly don't know what that is.
Luckily for DNA, they do have a ward here. This could be it.
This could be it indeed. 0-1, he's looking to set it up, and actually Sheldor's right in. He's already taken chunks. A big Nas smacks up 0-1, and the crescendo whiffs completely. Oh, Jack Attack saved by the ultimate from Kindred, and able to jump out now, and this is all kiting by 2EZ, but actually DNA hot in the heels. They might be able to win a team fight if they can get something, but Rin Toyama, he's kiting, he's fighting, and Blinky's doing the same. Sheldor is a tanky man, but Rin Toyama's going to bait him under the turret. Blinky now, with Nephius out of mana, he's just going to go aggressive, finds I'm tilting Rin Toyama under turret with Sheldor. He's not quite going to be able to get the kill till Blinky. He's going to find Nephius though. Sheldor barely limps away in a double kill with Blinky.
Archael, though.
Oh, and Archael, he's still alive in this fight, and it all goes pear-shaped with DNA as he splits up 0-1, and now 0-1 surely a dead man. The Q goes wide. Blinky going to make sure it gets secured. Archael is the one who gets the kill credit for it, and 2EZ just had to back up, buy time, and DNA overextended under a turret there. They couldn't win that fight. They won't be able to win another one. DNA are staring down the barrel of an elimination.
And Sheldor had to run so far back. He hasn't even had the chance to recall, literally running back to the fountain. So that's going to buy even more time.
Oh, this is a bit dangerous for 2EZ. They're kind of low here.
But no ward there this time for any teleports or any vision control for DNA to move in. Look at that, completely dark there on that side of the map.
No Ezreal Lord either.
And despite Harold trying to beat down an Archael, doesn't quite manage.
Yeah, let's take a look at this fight, this sour dive.
Yeah, and as you can see, Rin Toyama just wasting so much time for DNA for them to finally pick up the kill. And Blinky the whole time able to just pump out that mid-game damage with the Ghost Blade, with Lucian's mid-game power spike. And as you can see here, 0-1 almost connected that one. Would have given him an escape probably with a ward jump on top of that, but fortunately for him, that's how the cookie crumbles.
And in the early parts of the fight, we were seeing Blinky untouched and undamaged, even as DNA got a really good position on Too Easy. And Too Easy had already taken a lot of damage from the Rift Herald at that point as well. So DNA, like I said, if they couldn't win that one, can they win any of them?
And something to mention, Too Easy, RKO was in the mid lane the whole time. It was actually a 4v5 that they managed to win for the most part. But here we go.
Yeah, they've actually found Rin Toyama. They might be able to win this 2v2. OG1 is trying to go deep for it, but Rin Toyama kiting as best as he can. OG1 is staring down the battle of the stun here. Ark is doing a good amount of work, though, putting damage onto Cupcake as well, sorry. And Blinky has arrived at the fight, so DNA gets back away. And that's exactly it. They know they can't fight. They know that they can't just survive an extended laning phase here either.
And here's an option for them right now. DNA,
oh,
they can go down on the Jack Attack. He's got no vision. He's just turned into Mega Form, so he's going to lack any escape.
Walks away. They don't commit to it, and he's going to be able to get out here now for sure. O21 is going to try and come in for the collapse, but Nephtheus isn't near enough to this one. And it's watch Baron spawning.
Hey, buddy.
Animation. Sick animation. Yeah, nice. Here comes Bazza.
That's the noise that he makes. But in any case, they missed the chance to take out Jack Attack.
Oh, they've missed a lot more than that. Ark finds Blinky. That's the key one for them now. Too Easy missing that opportunity to take out Untilting. And this is a window for DNA. Maybe to find an Infernal Drake, maybe to just find more kills, but they will need to find something.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Like I was saying 6 minutes ago, this Infernal Drake is super duper important right now. And with Too Easy, their star AD carry down right now. They do have Arcale who can pick out a lot of damage. Rin Toyama actually just calling the attention
here comes
of so many
from the side, and with the help of Arcale, they just delete the shell door off the map, the Trundle, or shell door, whichever you prefer. They take Untilting to follow, an 0-2-1 zone right on out. Too Easy, they're going to move for this dragon now. They lost Blinky, but they just didn't even care. Jack Attack, Arcale, and Rin Toyama are all still doing so much damage. And this almost feels like a bit of a... Actually, never mind. Let's take a look at how that went down here. Blinky dying. Oh, he got stunned. He died.
That's why you don't give I'm Tilting Sona, right?
Look at how many cooldowns they used for that, though. No wonder they could not hold their own in the fight before.
Yeah, and as we come back, an Infernal Dragon's gone, and Too Easy have picked it up. They're looking really strong right now. Honestly, it's the dragon that they needed to take. They're looking for this mid lane tier 1 turret, the only one to stand for DNA.
Oh no, Ark, you can't defend that turret, buddy. And he is going to drop on down. And I was just going to say before, I mentioned even with Blinky dead, Too Easy, if so many carries they can still fight. This almost feels like a bit of a middle finger to DNA, because this is what DNA were trying to do last game with a carry in the jungle and a single tank. They had the extra one granted out of Cupcake, but even so, they've only really got Jack Attack, and he's sort of a half tank, right? So Too Easy pulling this one off when DNA couldn't. They're not just saying we're the better team, they're saying we're better at doing what you wanted to do too. They're looking ship shape for the playoffs.
And look at Too Easy. Jack Attack actually pushing straight onto the inhibitor turret right now. We're just barely past the 20-minute mark, and he's already knocking on the front door of DNA's base right now. And it's just the same thing. They're going for laning extension because they've been winning every single lane. They had a singular team fight around the dragon, and we actually saw that when Blinky was dead, it's showing that now Arcale is a massive threat too, and he's now picked up his Rylay's Crystal Scepter.
That all being said, this is the point in the game where Too Easy cannot just extend the laning phase, purely because the distance between the lanes favors DNA. They can just out-rotate Too Easy, and it's easier to control that vision when it's just in a smaller area, which it is when there's only the one inner turret still standing. So Too Easy are going to have to start grouping up here. They certainly can, but if they don't make that adaptation in time, then there is a window that DNA can potentially exploit.
Yeah, another thing to mention as well is that now they're not sitting on Tears of the Goddess, but they're sitting on the enemy team.
Yeah, they are. And actually, they're going to commit to the fight. They've found Rin Toyama with the crescendo. They've already found Tilting, though, and Cupcake keeps Nephtheus busy on the side, but a stun gets Cupcake and Rin Toyama. Cupcake, oh, he barely gets up by the skin of his teeth. Ark, oh, actually, hold on. Nephtheus is going to keep hot on his heels. Jack Attack's come in, though, to try and turn this one back around. Already getting onto 0-2-1. He's still in that mega form, and Blinky's in on the side. Cakes gets Ark as well. And Too Easy, even when they lose one at the start of the fight and get Cupcake zoned right on out, they can still turn it around. That is an ace for Too Easy at 23 minutes into the game. Oh my word, this is the best we have seen out of Too Easy.
Really using those dragons as well as their huge gold lead. They're going to take it onto the inhibitor turret, and even with the short death timers, I feel like they can look at taking down this inhibitor. It's risky, but I feel like they can do it. 3 seconds and the true shot barrage will come out. Cupcake does need to block this.
Yeah, he does, but they're going to be able to take down the inhibitor nonetheless.
Oh, wow.
With the minion wave. They're actually going to take out 2 inhibitor turrets. This is almost impossible to recover from. Let's be completely honest. Even though the second inhibitor is still up, it is exposed. DNA are losing fights. Too Easy can just back up, get get healthy, maybe even get the Baron if they want before closing this one in. And with 2 inhibitors down at around 25 minutes, assuming the second inhibitor goes down soon, DNA are going to be facing an almost impossible situation.
13,000 gold ahead at 25 minutes, and Rintoyama is just walking all the way through the enemy jungle. DNA can't catch him.
Stole the blue buff, got away with it, got off scot-free.
Okay, I feel like DNA, out of all the desperation plays I've ever seen...
this is the most desperate.
I mean, I like to think that with AoE ultimates, a team can come back from almost anything. And this is where DNA are really hoping for it. Initiating on the Baron, though, this is so risky!
Jack attack is mini, but Ark has already eaten so much damage, it might be too much. O2-1 is already down. Sheldon, the tank, is about to die. And now it's just all squishies. Rintoyama ults just that he doesn't die. Stands on it to pick up a heal. I'm tilting, the only one left. He drops on down a triple kill for Blinky. I'm going to close my eyes from here until the end.
And the minions are stacking right up against the Nexus turrets. They could go for the win here. This could be DNA's last moments in the NZGC.
They absolutely will go for the win. Look at these death timers. They're not long, but they're long enough. The minions are already there. The damage is huge. Too easy. It was game 1, but quicker. I haven't seen a team crumble that hard and fast in this entire tournament. DNA just got completely swept out, and Too Easy have now asserted their place in the top 4 with a resounding win. They look terrifying. Even Tiger Eye will be quaking in their boots after that.
Too Easy move on to the next stage of the playoffs by absolutely dissecting DNA, taking them out of the tournament. Now the second team to be kicked out. We're really in the most exciting stage of the NZGC right now.
That we are, and of course, I mentioned Tiger Eye quaking in their boots because Tiger Eye did beat out Too Easy, and now they're going to be playing one another next week. Before we get to that, though, we will also have King 5 taking on Villains. We've got 2 of the sickest matchups yet, and tonight has already been really, really awesome. We're going to take a brief breather, though, and then come on back with Johnny Cyclone Weatherly to put the air back in our lungs as we break down that last game and look ahead to the rest of the week. Don't go anywhere.
The New Zealand Gaming Championships League of Legends Premiership is presented by Let's Play Live, Australasia's new home of esports at letsplay.live. Logitech G, bringing you winning gaming devices. Mice, keyboards, headsets and controllers. Game with passion, win with science. Logitech G. Twitch, the world's leading social video platform and community for gamers. Twitch.tv. The NZGC is powered by Playtech. Technology at play. Playtech is the #1 custom PC system builder in New Zealand. Visit playtech.co.nz. Players stay at Adina Apartment Hotel at Britomart, Auckland. Book today at adinahotels.com. Adina, official accommodation of the NZGC.
Crank on the laser lights. We've got the smoke machine running, and we are joined here by Johnny Cyclone Weatherly to help us break down what went on in that series. That 2-0 face roll, let's be completely honest here. Too Easy look in great shape moving forward, even against who just beat them, Tiger Eye. What went right for them there? What did they fix between Wednesday and now?
600 GPM over their opponents. Seriously, that is so much gold. So much gold. And a lot of smoke.
Yeah, a lot of smoke. Is there a fire?
Maybe a little more smoke than we were actually expecting there. But in any case, also just their vision control was pretty massive in that game. I like to move on from what you said from the gold as well, because it was the same story in game 1, but game 2 particularly, I feel like that GPM was just really effective over the whole story of the game, right?
Yeah.
They were winning in every lane again.
Yeah, and I feel like that game all went downhill right from that 2v2 double kill. I mean, you can recover a lane from that, sure, and it's the classic thing of the jungler goes ahead and ganks a winning lane rather than a losing one, but they didn't have a winning lane, right? The top lane was also losing in the 1v1, even though technically Sheldon wasn't getting solo killed this game. It was still Jack Attack with a massive lead on a really comfortable champion. Mid lane was the one place where they could maybe do it, but even then they were getting answered by Rintoyama, who was himself a carry, whereas O2-1 this time was not. I personally feel like it was kind of unsalvageable from that first double kill, but that's not actually true. What could DNA have done better?
Well, They built 2 tier items after falling behind. So what that means is they would have needed to pull out some amazing stall play to just drag the game out to like 40 minutes, and then they would have been able to outscale, absolutely. But when you're getting double killed, you can't do that.
And the thing is, like, those champions didn't have a huge amount of wave clear either. Ezreal really relies on his ultimate for that, a huge cooldown, and let's get honest, they were getting smashed into their tower before he even had level 6. Cassiopeia has some wave clear, but it's a bit delayed, and you can tower dive Cassiopeia at that point. So it wasn't really an option either. So yeah, like you said, picking up 2 tier items, putting you into a power slump against a team that you're already losing against is just way too dangerous.
Yeah, it felt like DNA had a game plan, and that game plan was to go for that stall option, maybe have little leads in lanes with the poke that they got out of Neptius, and I'm tilting, but you're right, they got behind, they couldn't actually continue doing that, but they just didn't seem to adapt in time. Too easy, on the other hand, they knew how to adapt to having a lead. They just built more damage, they built more items, they carried on the laning phase basically until the end of the game. They basically grouped once, maybe twice. I want to give a solid Man of the Match award to Rin Toyama here as well. His vision control was stunning throughout both games. Added to that, the pure ganking and kill pressure he brought out in Game 2. Rin Toyama looks like a whole new man this week.
Yeah, he was one of those junglers that you play against in solo queue, and it feels like he's in every lane twice at the same time.
Well, it is Kindred, and there's 2 of them, so kind of, yeah, you're not too far wrong. On the flip side of that, 0-2-1, he just did not have the same impact. Even in the first game where he had to carry jungler, he did not have the same impact. And I kind of said it felt like almost a bit of a middle finger by 2easy. They're going, yeah, we can do it better than you. And they're going to carry that, like I said, into their match against Tiger Eye now. They've shown that they can win resoundingly with a lot of different strategies here.
And the thing is, their next matchup, like you said, it's going to be against Tiger Eye. The last time we saw them play, Tiger Eye came out on top, but that was in the Hexadome. Very different environment to how we see them play. However, next week, they're going to be back in the Hexadome. So despite 2easy looking great now, they may need to fix issues that arose from being in the Hexadome. All the lights, the camera, the pressure of being live on Sky Sport, national TV. That's something that is just a completely different element that a lot of players aren't used to right now. And I feel like the gameplay is solid. They just need to work on that aspect for their next matchup.
Yeah, and it's like anything. They have now done it once. They'll probably look a little bit better when they do it the second time. And they did take a game off Tiger Eye when they did that as well. It wasn't a 2-0 stop. They were the first team to not get 2-0 stopped here in the Hexadome, actually. So, well, stopped is probably the wrong word for it, but you know what I mean. First team to not get 2-0, so they do carry that coming into that matchup as well. Before we get to that, though, I want to touch on our next matchup coming up this week. I feel like we've said all that needs to be said about 2easy tonight and how they might look against Tiger Eye. All those questions to be answered in the not-too-distant future. Villains versus King 5 this Wednesday. Thoughts?
Kosi's going to do more damage in his role.
For those people at home, who's Kosi?
Kosi's Shoulder Raven, sorry.
Raven.
Yeah.
Sorry. He's got no shoulders anymore.
Oh.
Yeah,
continue.
Yeah, so normally he does a lot less damage than most other players in his role because he's a split pusher generally. Just spends a lot of time pushing minion waves and maintaining that pressure for King 5. But I've been giving him grief about the amount of damage he's doing, and we've seen this number steadily rise.
All right.
So I expect that by next week he'll actually be on par with his role, potentially pushing into the top half.
Okay, I feel like it's also a really exciting matchup. We haven't seen these 2 teams play each other at all, not at all through the qualifiers, because of course Villains weren't there, not at all through the NZGC, because they've just been in separate groups and both at the top of those groups, so they haven't had the crossover matches. It's the first time we get to see these 2 teams play, and despite Villains not looking quite as on form as we expected them to be, they're still second place.
Yeah, and they have started to fix some of the mistakes that occurred in their loss against 2easy as well. So they're already looking better than when they were. And like you said, they are second place as well now. So this is kind of a matchup we've wanted to see since like week 1. And we are going to finally get to see it. The thing I am really, really keen to see, though, is the Dolphs versus Raven thing. Now, I know that isn't a straight-up role matchup, but Dolphs tends to be the brains of Villains. Raven tends to be the brains of King 5. And like you said, he's maybe going to want to be dealing more damage, but he also knows that he draws a lot of pressure. Dolphs also knows that he's good at bringing pressure. And he also knows that he can go and put pressure elsewhere if the jungler is helping camp top lane to defend Raven. So I feel like there is a window just through that alone for Villains to kind of play the mind game. game. Play the cerebral game.
The thing is as well, though, you talk about how Raven is a bit of the brains for King 5. Unlike Dolphs, King 5 share a lot of that load. They actually do a lot of shot calling together and at different stages in the game. Kaio brings a lot of calls around the mid-game when fights are around Dragon. Raven talks about how much pressure they can put on with split pushing, when they should continue pushing, when they should start up a fight so he can teleport in. So unlike other teams who rely almost primarily on a shot caller, King 5 have a little bit of a lesser load on each player. So you can't just target Raven in the top lane and cut off the shot calling or tilt that player off the face of the earth.
Yeah, and the other thing we see a lot out of villains is, of course, they like to fight. A lot of what Dolphs does is setting a vision for fights. And it works for them. That's how they play, and it's good. They have won with that. They're not second for no reason, right? But earlier in this tournament, we saw what I am now dubbing the King 5 special, where they just let you chase them forever. They didn't care how much vision you had, as long as they had just enough. They were kiting and kiting and kiting, keeping the split push up. Sometimes it was Shoulder Raven, sometimes it was KO. It didn't really matter who, but they were keeping the pressure up and up and up until suddenly they just blew the game wide open. And I wouldn't be surprised if they try and pull that one out against Villains.
Yeah, playing against King 5, I think, is a lot like trying to keep track of the P and the shell. You know, the shells move around and you're not really sure where the P is. It's like the pressure, okay? So sometimes the pressure is top, sometimes the pressure is bottom. And if you want to beat King 5, you absolutely have to know where the P is.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that King 5 have like 20 arms with, like you said, that kind of shared load shot calling. It's not all just on one guy. You don't just shut down the brains. You don't break the thumb and the whole hand hurts, right? You got to break every single knuckle of every single finger.
And it's a bit of an unorthodox strategy, right? Because one of the key things I remember from one of King 5's matches was they had KO split pushing on Twitch, right? You don't see that very often in professional play. It's an unorthodox strategy, and there's a reason that it's not played up in higher tier plays. And, well, I mean, how do you beat something like that?
A lot of pink wards.
A lot of pink wards?
A lot of pink wards.
And but he can see them. He can kill them.
Well, yeah, but the pink wards can see him.
But if they have lots of layers, then they'll see him coming, right? So if they have layers like an onion,
That's what you want. Like an onion, not like a cake, like an onion. And of course, Dolphs is a great master of vision there. You can bet your bottom dollar if they try and pull those same shenanigans, then there's going to be that pinkwood coverage. Villains are not a team that are going to drop the ball on that. But all that and more on Wednesday. I think that's all to be said about that. One last round of thoughts on tonight's matchup, guys. We have seen our second team get sent home. We won't see anyone else go home this week, but we will see it continue on next week. And we now have our top 4 teams of the NZGC. Final thoughts about Too Easy?
Too Easy looked super strong coming in tonight. They came off a loss in the Hexadome, didn't let them get it down, and honestly pulled off the expected victory. They were always the favoured team coming in tonight, and they showed us why tonight. I feel like they took that level, though, and put it just a little bit higher and executed on their plan a little bit better than we expected. Yeah,
there's a difference between favoured and the performance we saw tonight, to be sure. Cyclone, your thoughts?
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and Too Easy aren't dead yet.
I feel like that's all to be said, and we will be seeing them taking on Tiger Eye next week. We will be seeing later in the week King 5 taking on Villains as we have our last 4 teams remaining. Goodbye, DNA. And for those of you who tuned in, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful night, and from all of us here at the broadcast team, we will see you on Wednesday.
Used to think I was someone special till you knew my name. Open the doors to invade my castle. Don't you feel it strange? I'm going out on a limb where the clouds start to thin, where in my heart I can still be grim. Out on a limb, out on a limb, out on a limb, out on a limb, out on a limb.
The NZGC is a production of Let's Play Live and brought to you by Logitech G, Twitch, Playtech, Adina Hotel, and all our fantastic technology and media partners.